All right. Let me get the camera here. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Kurt, and I'm a dad who draws, and this is our Wednesday night live. And tonight we will be drawing. I was doing a quick little warm up here before everyone came on here, but let me just clear that out. Yes, tonight we'll be drawing this lovely peasant woman. I really don't know much about her. Hey, look at that. Hey, Sadie, how are you? I'm glad you're with us. Welcome. So right now, just to let everyone know, I'm getting a little bit of an error on my end as far as YouTube goes. So it might be jumpy just a little bit here at the beginning. But as I've seen in the past, as these things progress, the connection seems to get strong. So I'm going to proceed, and I will have a recording of this. And if it seems to be a problem, then I'll just continue with the evening and then upload the recording, and you could watch it on replay. But hopefully that won't happen. Okay. And so anyways, with that being said, so tonight usually we draw. I want to welcome everyone who's new here. I ask you to please, it always helps if you subscribe to the YouTube channel or give a comment, give a like. You know how it goes. Helps me and the whole YouTube community. But yeah, we have we do this live every Wednesday night. We also do it live every Monday night. Monday night we usually do a landscape, and traditionally on Wednesday nights we have done a portrait drawing. So and it looks like this has frozen up, but let's try it again there. And so tonight we usually do a portrait. But we ran a vote in our. Is that good? There it goes. Okay, we ran a vote in our Facebook community, and they wanted to go with switching over to a full figure for the next 4 weeks. So for the next 4 weeks, we'll be looking at more character design and figure. All right, so. This was the one I picked out tonight, and I thought it would be a great example of trying to look at something with weight. We're going to look at, there's a lot of overlap here, even some folding of fabric. So these are all the things that we're going to be looking at. But before we do, I do want to show you one thing. Let's see here. Insert a photo. Yeah, let's make this nice and big so you can see it. This photo I've just brought in, and we're going to make that one go away for a second. This photo that I just brought in is by the artist J.C. Leyendecker, and he is an American illustrator who I believe was doing illustrations during the 1940s or 50s. I should probably look that up, but 1940, and a lot of times what he would do before he would do a full illustration, he would test certain things out. He would try different poses and he would paint them. I mean, these sample little tests that he ran was to really kind of get a feel for what he was putting together. And so we're going to kind of approach this the same way, because there's a lot of little details in our drawing that I want to kind of show you before we do the full thing. Okay, so we're going to kind of use J.C. Leyendecker style. He's a great illustrator. You might want to check him out. Just Google his name, and it's all good stuff. So let's go ahead and bring up our peasant women here, and so usually whenever we draw, I usually have a 3-step process how I approach something. I will start off with a gesture. That will lead into construction. and then that will go to detail. And as we move from phase to each phase, you know, sometimes these things will blur. There's not a fine line between these, but this is the way that I found that has been extremely helpful to me over the years. All right, so that's kind of our process there. So let's go ahead for the next, and usually a gesture, I'll take maybe about 5 minutes to put it together. So let's go ahead and try and gesture this character out, and let's talk about gesture for a minute. You know, when you do a gesture drawing, you want to stay extremely loose. Hold your pencil near the back so you don't get as super detailed. And what you're looking for when you're doing a gesture is just to quickly, you want to draw as fast as you can and try and get a feel for what's going on. You're looking for weight. A lot of times when I have taught my students in the past, I've said, think of the tip of your pencil as like an ice skater, and it's skating across your paper, or even a jet airplane, and it's just flying really quick. So I'm going to go ahead and do my gesture, and I'll talk you through it here in the next 5 minutes. Don't try and keep up. Just look at the image that we have, and let's see how we do. Okay. So first thing when I do a gesture, I quickly will throw like a line of action. This will help me determine. Oh, you know what I want to do? I don't want to forget what. I'm sorry. I just had something come into my mind. I don't want to forget to share with you. All right. So we start off with a line of action. Ooh, look at that. Change the color on me. Line of action there. And right away, I'm going to put the head in. And you don't have to, there's no like starting with one thing and going to the next. Some people like to start with the core of the body and extend out. But I think in this case, I'm going to start with the head. And she's kind of looking down because she's heavily burdened. And then I'm going to quickly just start to get a feel for what's going on here. This woman. And I'm looking for things that are going to be straight lines, straight and curve. I really want to emphasize this fact that she is really this, you know, heavy burden here. Bottom of the basket kind of quickly, I see that it quickly lines up with the bottom of her shoulder there. And look at this rope. Comes around and then wraps around there like that. She has this little, and then she has this part in her hair. Okay. And we are going to go, we're going to keep this going until about 7:08. We're going to about 7:12, okay? So look, I get down to the bottom of her elbow and it's round. I go up to this other sleeve and I can see it's also round. So one way you could get good at these quick gestures is, this is where I found out over the years that if I take my time and study anatomy very slowly, then when I do a quick gesture, I could start to think about that. And if I don't have that, like if I don't have that internal knowledge, then sometimes doing gestures can be very difficult because I don't know what I'm drawing. And if during the, oh look at that, we should be back up to speed again. During this broadcast, during this tutorial, this drawing, if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat and I will be more than happy to answer them. So I'm just going as quick as I can. And trying to get the feel for what's going on. You know, another, I keep thinking of other ways that is a really good habit to get in the process of doing gestures if you go out in public and draw. Back in the day, I used to work at Disneyland in California, and I had the opportunity to just sit in the park and draw people as they walked around, and they were the worst drawings of my entire life. They were awful because people were walking all the time, and I just spent hours of trying to capture them, and it was not easy. But it's through that quick process where you are quick to make decisions, and it helped me in my sketching. Okay, so we're coming up on that 5-minute mark here. And again, we're just doing a quick sketch here. All right, we're up at 12, so that's 5 minutes. Okay, so there is that would be considered my first phase of my drawing. That would be a gesture, and that kind of helps me to get a feel for what's going on. All right, let's go ahead then and take that gesture. I'm just going to put it up here. And if you're drawing on a pad or a sketch pad, you could turn the page, or what I like is I like to start to draw in the margins, and I like to fill it up from side to side with all kinds of little sketches. So let's go ahead and, just as J.C. Leyendecker did, let's take a look at some of the smaller subtleties of this drawing, this figure, before we commit to the larger version. Okay, so let's take a look at her head first. So let's just start off with a sphere, and now look at this. Right now I've already made a mistake in that I've literally drawn my oval, my sphere, straight up or down, but she is totally at an angle. Okay, so we're gonna then go ahead and get that eye line in about where we think it should go, and this is a 3/4 view. So when you're drawing a 3/4 view, your center line is going to be a little bit to the right. So that's what I'm looking at right there. Now now her bonnet is going to go around her head. So let's go ahead and just put that around her head. And I'm kind of looking at the negative space here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just put some type of little tie. And if I'm going too fast, please say something in the chat and I'll slow down, okay? So I'm kind of looking at that negative shape right there. So then we're doing something like this. And then I can see I'm just going to put a shadow for her underneath her nose there. And then let's get some shadow underneath her eye here. You know, I bet you she might be cold. I bet you she's cold. Oh my goodness. Working that hair around, and I'm thinking of it as a volume or mass, and now I'm going into it and I'm adding some surface lines. I'm also adding a little bit of shadow underneath her lower lip, and adding a little bit of shadow underneath her chin. And when I did her eyes, let's go in a little more detail here so you could kind of get an idea of what I did. There is her eye line, okay? There is the center line. So I just put a little shadow under for her nose. We could look at this shadow shape, the shape underneath those eyes there, like this. You see that? Eyebrows. And then for her eyelashes, I just literally just drew a slit. Okay. The lips. Lips go like this. Make sure that you make this side a little bit longer than this side. And I don't even draw the bottom lip. I only draw the shadow. The shadow underneath the lip. You see that? All right, her face is coming down like this. Again, I'm just drawing the shadow. Center line. Following the shape of the head. Let's get this scarf. It's almost like a straight line there. And then this comes in here like this. And I'm going to go ahead and just put some type of tie right there, even though it's not in the picture. Okay, I think that looks great there. So let's put that off to the side. And how do I do that now? I think that's not what I wanted. Okay, well, we're gonna do that. Sorry. Yeah. Let's see here now. We're gonna come in here. All right. Let me jump to this next layer here, and is it here? Oops. All right, there we go. I don't want to lose any of this. Okay, next up, let's do a new layer. I should have put each little piece here on its own layer, right? All right, so there's our head. All right, so we got that worked out. All right, let's the next piece let's take a look at here is let's take a look at her arms. Okay, so from her shoulder, what we're talking about, her arm is almost coming at an angle, and I want to look closely now because what you may end up doing, you may end up drawing something like this for her shoulder, but it's not that at all. It actually comes out like this. See that shape, and you can see it here. That shape includes her, oh my goodness, I can't remember. This muscle is like this up here. See it? And it's called, man, I can't remember what that's called. It's not the deltoid. Maybe it is the deltoid. All right, I have to go all the way back to school and try and remember. Anyways, so this is going to come around a little bit. So we want to make sure that we have that idea, okay? And this is going to be a little bit of an overlap right there. You see that? And then it's going to come down here. You see? Because her elbow is right there. So we're really looking to get this arm to start to look around, to hook around, okay? All right, so let's kind of look the other way now. And so then we have our hand coming in here, and it's not that long. And it looks like she's got some fingers coming in over there. And now this sleeve, look, it's a little bit longer. You see that? Has a little bit of a shadow. And let's go ahead and put some surface lines in to really get a sense that sleeve is turning a little bit there. Okay? And we're going to I'm going to put this in lightly here, like this. And then her upper torso is coming in like this. Now let's look very closely, because this is telling. Let's look really closely at this sleeve right there. Okay? So watch now. Watch this. So you're going to come in a little bit, and we've got these, you know, when you draw folds, you have to go very slowly, because if you go too quick, you will end up making them look too consistent, you know, too even out. When we lose concentration on something, our brains will automatically start to put things in order. But if we're concentrating on things, then we can, like, okay, so maybe this is going to be down here, and this one's going to be there, and this one's going to be there. We can really start to focus of trying to get some randomness. And folds in clothing will do that. If we don't pay close attention to it, we end up making everything even. And we have to be careful of that. Okay? All right. So then she has these buttons. So let's add some of those in place. And I think that's it on her. And let's get this back here. Look at that. Look how straight that is. See, what's nice is, I'm going to add a couple surface lines under here. What's nice is when we are dealing with figures, in a sense, we want to really use this concept of straight versus curve, because that's what the body is all about. So if we put a straight in, like her back is very straight next to the curve of the front here, what's going on, that ends up giving it a lot of contrast. Okay? All right, let's move that one out of the way. Let's draw another one. Let's draw another piece here. let's drop all the way down now to the bottom, the very bottom of her dress. And forgot the time, Jay. Yes. Sorry about that, Russell. So, Russell, what we're doing is we are using the, I'll show you really quickly. We're kind of using the JC Leyendecker approach in that we are drawing just pieces of this, and then we're going to, in the last, I'd say 20 minutes, try and put the whole thing together, okay? So that's where we're at right now. So you could just pick up, you are more than welcome just to pick up right where we are at, okay? So the next thing I want to look at is the bottom of her dress. And when we're dealing with folds, there are about 7 different folds of fabric, and we'll go over them not tonight, but another time. But the bottom of her dress is one of them, okay? And this is the fold that we're looking for. It's kind of a curtain fold, and let's just do this sort of thing right there. Okay, that's going to be the outside shape, and I'm going to give this a little bit of a curve. So here's one pleat coming up. And then we're going to have another one. It's going to have another little bit of a curve to it. And then we're going to have another one. And the inside here, when you're doing these, you want to, now you won't see it in this dress, but you want to curve the opposite way. Curve the opposite way right there. You see that? And then over here, curve the opposite way. So what we're doing is we're using overlap. This gives a sense that the bottom of this dress has folds, and we're using like the things that are in the forefront, they're circling around, and the ones in the back are going opposite. And so you could even see that we could add some surface lines in this randomly. Be very careful not to make them identical. Evenly, perfectly even spaced out. You don't want that. Okay? So that would be the bottom of the skirt that we have going here. All right, let's look at one more thing here. Let's look at this basket. I want to point something out with this basket here. Now, our eye level is almost toward the bottom of this basket. And so we're looking up at it. So that means if we look straight at let's just say we're going to draw a cylinder, and we're looking straight at it, it would almost look like a rectangle. But if you were looking straight at a cylinder and you were a little bit below it, it would have a little bit of a curve at the top, and you might even see the bottom of it slightly. See? We're looking up at it. So this is what's happening in a sense with this basket, where we're looking up at the top, but the bottom is pretty much flat. That means that it's almost right at eye level. And notice here, this is important. Notice the far left side is straight, while the far right side, it comes in straight, but then it's kind of like curved up against this woman here. You see that? We want to remember that detail when we get to our drawing. So next thing I'm going to do is to draw these wicker, I don't know, are they called spines or spokes? I don't know what they're called. And then we want to just indicate the weaving of that pine there, okay? And I'm trying to get nice even lines. Okay, and then I don't know what she's carrying in there. It looks like maybe it's seaweed. Maybe it's seaweed. Okay, so there is our basket. Okay. The last thing, let's take a look at one last thing, and I want to look at the this back. I want to look at this. She has another fold of fabrics that is pretty important there. You see that? So this would be called like a curtain fold. And then you also have, and let me show you, you have another type of fold of fabric, and sometimes we will call this like a flag fold. And it goes like this. You see that? It's like a flag that is waving on a pole. Well, you're getting this very similar effect in the back end of her dress right there. You see that? Any questions on any of that so far? Okay, so let's go ahead and then, and I'm going to, at this point, I am going to make all this go away. I'm trying to think if we should keep it so we could see it. Yeah, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to move this. Yeah, this is what we're going to do. We'll put all this over here for reference. And I'm going to cover up that right there. That's it. Okay, perfect. Okay, now we can go ahead and we're going to start from scratch here. We're about half an hour into our broadcast, so for the next half an hour, let's go ahead and put this woman in here, okay? And we could reference some of the previous drawings that we've done. So first thing now, I'm going to draw very lightly now. I'm going to, again, start off with a gesture. Very lightly. Barely holding down the pencil here. And I'm trying to quickly draw maybe her whole shape, okay? And this is not going to be 5 minutes. This is going to be much quicker. I'm thinking about where are my straights. All right. Very light. I'm looking at the relationship between her shoulders and her head. So let's talk about, before we go any further, I want to talk about this idea called tools of measurement. So as we saw in Leyendeckers, he actually uses a tool of measuring, and let me bring it to the front here so we can look at it. He uses a grid system, a very loose grid system, and you can see that. You could see it right here. You see that line right there? It goes right there. And he does this on all of his paintings. So he's using this method in order to keep things in proportion. So that's one way you can do it. Another another tool of measurement is, this is one of my favorites, is using vertical and horizontal lines. So, for example, when I look at this this woman here, I notice a couple things right away. I notice that this is almost straight. I notice that this is almost straight, and I notice that this is almost straight. Do you see that? And we're going to change, I'm going to change the, as I see that these things are straight, I'm asking myself, what are they lining up against? So, for example, the edge of her body almost goes straight through, straight through the middle of her head. The front of this dress lines up almost with right behind her head. You see that? The back of her elbow there is lining up with the middle of that, or with the far end of that basket. Let's go ahead and look at some horizontals, okay? Horizontal wise, where does this basket, oh, look at that. It lines up with the bottom of her, her elbow. Top of her head almost lines up with the top of the basket. And you can almost see, like, look, the bottom of her chin is just below her shoulders. You see that? So the first, one of the tools of measurement is looking for horizontal and vertical lines. All right, I'm going to take those away here. Another one that I use quite on the regular here, quite regularly, is I look at negative shape. So I'm going to look at this negative shape. I'm going to look at this negative shape. And I could even look at this negative shape. You see that? So I want to be aware of these things as I'm drawing her. So those are two rules of measurement, and of course the grid system would be a third. There are a couple others, but for me, basically I always use the vertical and horizontal lines in negative shape. They're my go-to. So all right, let's continue on here. So now that we have our a quick little sketch here of what we're doing, let's go ahead and start to move into more of construction. And part of construction is getting these proportions right. So there's my negative space there. Okay, so let's just say her head's going to be right here. And if I remember from my first drawing over here that I need to make sure that this is at an angle. Okay. And look at this. There's kind of where her chin is going to go, and her shoulders are going to come down like this. And I'm going to come straight across here, and this basket's going to sit right underneath there. Okay. I'm looking at this side of her body, and this side is going to be just slightly over here like this. You see that? Almost a straight line. If this is going to be my basket, okay, I'm okay with that. And you can see I'm just trying to get right now the basics of my shapes. Squinting a little bit. And I think this needs to be longer here, right? Yeah, that looks about right. This is really at a severe angle. I'm looking at this relationship in this little area right there. And then this is like this severe angle here. Let's straight down. Okay, I think I'm feeling pretty good with that gesture. I've moved into now, starting to move into the construction here. So if I remember back when I did the face, I kind of liked how I did that. So let's get some of those same ideas in here. There's her nose. Okay, now remember when you do the lips, make one side much longer than the other. Curving her hair around her head. Straight, this is a very straight line right there. And then I want to use surface lines to really grab her hair there. Same side, other side, same idea. Okay. I'm looking back at that. Look at this. I do want to show you what I've done here. And I'm zooming in here so you could see. This right here is the back of her head. And I've made her bandana go past this to create an overlap. It almost creates this idea that there's a fold going on in there. You see that? That's done with I'm doing that with intent. Okay, there's that bandana coming back here. Now watch this. Look at the bottom. Look at that bottom of that bandana. Her coat is overlapping it. So I don't want to just go straight here. I want to like put a little bit of a angle there. You see that? Now that gives me a real sense that it's overlapping that, okay? And then she has this, looks like this rope is coming across her chest there. Okay, and it's working itself into that basket. Okay, now currently it looks like I've made my arm way too big. So, but I can make an adjustment on this. So we're gonna come down here like this. Remember back at our drawing, you want to get the front end there. That will give a sense that it'll give a sense that she's really using her shoulder. Surface lines here. Let's get that our hand in here, curving the back of it, adding a little bit of shadow there. And then we have her blouse or her coat coming in front. And then her arm is behind. We got those little bit of wrinkles. And we'll put some buttons down the front of it. Now remember now, I've practiced this for a long time. So if you have to go back and draw some of these things multiple times, that's totally okay. You may not get it your first time, but that means that you're learning. you're learning as you're going along. So, all right, next thing I'm going to, this is a very strong, diagonal back here. And let's go ahead, I'm going to put this basket in here. And then I'm going to get the top of it, make sure it's curved here. And then the back is almost a straight line. See all these contrasting shape line, these contrasting lines help quite a bit when we are trying to create movement and contrast, because we do straight and curve. So look look at in the front, right below her elbow here. Look at this. This is so almost like it's relaxed. Nothing is pulling on this per se. This is her overcoat. Here comes her seam. Her seam in her coat goes like this. And I think if I remember, she had like just a couple fingers over here. And it looks like she has another strap of some sort coming in like this. All right. Let's go ahead and get down here toward the bottom. All right. And before I do that, I want to get this, I definitely want to get these folds in here and do them nice and accurate. So I'm looking at, this is the way I'm looking at it. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to draw a line like that, a line like that, and then a line like that. You see that? That's where I'm going to start. So my first line's coming down like this. Okay. Next one is going to be much lower. And the next one is going to be even more lower. So we're going to come like this. We have this zigzag. And on the inside, look at that. Look how dark it is. It's casting this shadow underneath. All right, let's keep going here. Let's go ahead and focus on this first fold. And then we have this coming in like this. You see that? Then she's going to have this piece of fabric that's hanging down here. I'm not sure what that is. Then she has another one, and you know what? I'm not going to connect. I'm just going to kind of leave that line unconnected there. And then she has a faint line over here. And then we're going to have some surface. And surface over here. And when you're putting in these surface lines, you don't want to do them quickly. You really want to think about it. and not lose sight of concentrating. All right, let's go ahead and get a couple more things here. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of tone now. In fact, I'm going to just go over my whole drawing with a very even tone. Because what I want is, I want her neckerchief on her head to pop off here. So a lot of times, in order to make that happen, we make everything else around it dark. Look at this. This is kind of dark in here. And I'm just slowly going over. There's going to be some dark underneath her arm here. And I made a mistake by coloring in her hand here. Okay. Now, already I can see a slight error in mine. Look at this idea here. Look how much she's sticking her head out than her body. So I'm actually going to go in. That's important detail. It shows that she's pulling in her neck area. So I'm just going to erase some of that. And then just really emphasize that she is stretching out there. You see that? All right. In the next, all right, so I've got all that. Let me go ahead and then kind of finish this off with this basket here. Making that round. Evenly spacing these out because this is probably made by, definitely is made by human hands. So they're gonna, these little pieces are gonna have be spaced out evenly. And then I'm going to come in here and just carefully take some time and get these weaves right. All right, coming on the back end here. Just really slowing down, concentrating on each mark. And then it has a little bit of these little loops, or where the wicker, I believe, folds back into itself. And then there's definitely some shadow underneath the bottom here. Oop, that's too much shadow. Okay. And I should probably add a little more tone down here so the bottom part here matches with that top. I did notice when I was doing the initial drawing that she does have shoes on, and they're big shoes. So we're just gonna all right. And I think that's going to do it tonight. We probably went too fast, but I hope that you all got the idea. All right, any questions on any of that there? All right, so let's just kind of look back over what we ended up doing. We started off with a gesture, and I think if I just turn that off there, okay, yep. Started off with a gesture. Then we broke down and looked at each of the individual parts very carefully. We used J.C. Leyendecker, the illustrator, as a method of testing out different. We did some little pre-drawings of areas that we really wanted to familiarize ourselves with, and then make some decisions. We used horizontal and vertical lines for measurement, negative space for measurement, and you could have even used a grid if you wanted to. Well, we didn't have time to do a grid, but I showed you how J.C. Leyendecker would use a grid. And then once we kind of went through that whole process, now we were ready to jump into our drawing and put these things together. So when you're drawing, if you are facing something that is new or difficult, becoming familiar with your subject is really key toward understanding. It goes the same thing with portraits. When you draw portraits, if you draw the same portrait multiple times, you will get much better at it because your brain just gets familiar with what you are working on. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed that. Down below we have some links in the description for our free beginner's workshop class. There is the daily draw that we get together every morning for about 15-20 minutes, and we look at multiple different subject matters from animals to nature toward man-made objects and portraiture. We also look at character design, and then we have a great Facebook group, so you'll find all those links below. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up and a comment, and that is very helpful. My name is Kurt, and I'm a dad who draws. You did cover the tucked arms earlier. Yes, I did. All right, with that, I will see you guys later, and that's it. It's always weird to try to say goodbye to everyone, but I will see y'all later. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.